Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to queue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back. All right, all you positive heads, welcome back to another episode. So happy to be here with you all. And I'm going to do some different things today. I was procrastinating, sort of prepping for today's show. Doing, some days I prep for probably on average 15 minutes or something like that. Maybe more, just depending. And today I just kept procrastinating, doing different things. And I was like, oh man, it's getting late. I've got meetings to get to. What am I going to talk about? And so I came up with something kind of interesting that I hope you guys enjoy. But before I get into that, you're thinking, what will it be? What will it be? The mystery. Ooh. Before I get into the mysterious offering that is the Positive Ed Podcast meat of the show, if you will. And when I say meat, I'm talking about like veggie meat or watermelon meat, perhaps. So don't assume. No, it's not dog or cat either. Okay, I didn't get enough sleep, guys. Bear with me. I've got a review, and this one is by Spiritual Redhead on iTunes, and the title is Beautiful Path to Expansion. Spiritual Redhead, she's she, he, them, it, we, alien, whatever you are. You could be my relative. My brother has red hair. My sister has red hair. My nephew has red hair. So yeah, we're physical and spiritual relatives. Okay, that's a little preamble before I read. I absolutely love your podcast. I've been practicing law of attraction for about 3 years, although I realized I'd actually been practicing it my whole life. I just did not know what it was. Oh, let me interject again. Everyone's practicing it all the time. It's like the law of gravity, right? You don't have to understand it or even know it exists for it to affect you. So everyone is using the law of attraction at all times, whether they understand anything about it or not. Okay, continue. I have lost almost all of my quote-unquote best friends in my journey to enlightenment, and I finally let go and accepted that. That being said, I have no one to really discuss things with or ask questions, and your podcast has really opened the door for that. I also have always struggled with meditation. However, I recently realized it is your own practice, and you shall do as you feel best. Therefore, instead of forcing myself to sit quietly and empty my brain, I now take 20 to 30 minutes every day to sit quietly and listen to your podcast. It's my way of meditation and also a great outlet for knowledge and growing awareness. I am so grateful for you and your work, and I love the music selections as well. Thank you for all you do. Namaste. Oh, well, thank you, Spiritual Redhead, for all that you do and taking the time to review and completing the circle of love. It certainly means a lot. And helps fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. And I love that you are coming to the same realization I have about meditation. And of course, I've talked about it on the show. It's like there is no right or wrong way. Just saying I'm going to take the time to do whatever comes natural. It could be a moving meditation. It can be, silent meditation. It can be listening to this podcast. It can be just kind of setting the intention of this. I'm doing whatever I'm doing as a meditation is the most important thing. I think the intention is always the underlying most important factor in anything, any activity for that matter. If you want to look at how successful you'll be at something that you're embarking on, a new venture, a new, whatever it may be, look at the intention. What is your underlying intention and reason for what you're doing? That tells you as a reflection of, you'll see a reflection of that in the results. So I love this. I love this realization. Thank you for helping to bring it into further clarification for others out there by reviewing and sharing your story. You're helping others. And isn't that a cool thing? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, then. So what am I going to talk about on today's episode? As I mentioned, I sort of was fiddling around doing this, that, and the other. And I did not I looked at my watch and I'm like, oh man, I've got a meeting to get to. What am I going to do? Haven't really prepared. And then I saw this book. I cleaned out about a bunch of old books from underneath my bed the other day. And I came across this book. You guys might have heard me mention it before, called The Psychic Explorer. And it was one of the first books that I read, like 20 years ago about out-of-body experience, astral projection. A guy named V. Van Dam wrote it. I don't think it's a well-known book at all. I don't even know where I picked it up. I think somewhere in Nashville, Tennessee, I think. But it was first published in 1986. He starts off saying, I basically was a normal guy. I had all of a sudden in 1967, I found myself out of my body 2,000 miles above the earth one day. And it, kind of triggered a turning point in this guy's life. And he wrote a whole book on astral projection, different techniques over years. His first experience was in 67. The book was published in 86. And his whole fascinating experience exploring the astral plane. And then he got into having experiences of channeling. And what I found was interesting is, of course, we have Abraham, Esther Hicks on all the time. I've had Bashar playing clips from Bashar. We've even had a few people like Sheila Gillette on. We had Belinda Womack recently, who communicates with angelic entities. We've had many people who sort of play in that realm, right? Open up to other energies outside of themselves. But he's the only one I've ever seen who has in the back of the book. So most of it's all about astral projection, but in the very back, it's all about his channelings and like message from the earth spirit is one of them that always just kind of stuck out to me. And I remembered, there's message from the red goddess, message from, Saturn, all the different planets, message from, beyond the beyond. So he has all these cool different messages. So I thought, that message from the earth spirit always stuck out to me as I just remembered it all these years. And so I thought, why don't I just pick up the book and read it? So that's what we're going to do today. I think you guys will find it quite enjoyable. It has stuck with me for a long time. So here we go. This is V. Van Dam, The Psychic Explorer. This is Message from the Earth Spirit. I am the Earth, the spirit which governs this planet. It is not easy to put across to you the reality of my existence, since you are not at a point when you can appreciate what I am in my full totally. It is true that each one of you is a part of me. I am neither male nor female, I would like to emphasize, although from another point of view, I am both. I am a being of a certain evolution on the cosmic scale, obviously somewhat less evolved than the being of the sun, and not quite as advanced as some of the spirits of the other planets in the solar system. And yet, I have acquired skills, if you will, over the millions of years during which I have been in existence, which are useful to the system as a whole. I have not as much potency as I would like to have, and this is largely because I've had to hold down my evolution because of the particular conditions which prevail here. I've had to wait for more of humanity to be freer before I can more fully express myself. I'm glad to have this contact with you in this way, one of many ways, obviously, since everything which happens on this planet is something which I am aware of. That is not to say that I focus all my attention on every single little event which takes place, since there are many varieties of beings which take care of that for me. In order to evolve further myself, I look towards the heavens for indications of energies which I can use, and I draw to myself those forces which I feel can benefit me and the planet and all those who are here at this time, or any other time for that matter. I must therefore almost abstract myself from some of the things which go on amongst humankind while I search for those who can help me in what I am trying to achieve as a being in my own right. You may not be particularly aware of my existence as a spirit, and yet I think you can understand that there must be a spirit because all things have a spirit, even those things and beings which are not very much evolved at all. This is a law of existence. There must be a spirit to animate the forms which have their expression, whether it be here on this planet or anywhere else in the cosmos. Of the ages prior to my present incarnation as a planet, I went through many episodes of search and seeking, and long before I was a planet, I was a being who, like yourselves, toiled in the lower regions of creation in order to find out what I was and what I could do. I have since then achieved something of a status amongst planets of this system and even amongst those of other systems, because the boundaries of communication do not stop within the confines or the apparent confines of the solar system alone. I am in contact with many spheres of existence, and it is my joy to pursue a certain purpose which will eventually liberate this planet of mine which has been held down for so long, by the lack of true harmony and lasting harmony at that. I would like things to be good for you, of course. I would like to foster a civilization which was both advanced and knowledgeable and in tune with the greater world of the cosmos. For this, I must wait a little longer, although I can give you the encouraging news that everything is proceeding pretty much according to plan, and I will not need to wait for too much longer. Even if the eventual evolution will take this planet over and bring it to a full perfection even if the eventual evolution, which will take this planet over and bring it to full perfection, is still eons of time away in another cycle. You as humanity are those who are representing my evolution now at the levels at which you exist and have your being. You are most welcome, of course, to use my resources for the purpose of evolving yourself as beings who one day, and one day soon, will venture out into the cosmos in search of new stimulus. I would be much happier if there was a good understanding between us so that you do not ill-use what I can provide for you. And I would be even happier if I knew that you felt good about being with me, especially at this time. So much depends on the next few years because I'm going through an acceleration in my own personal growth as a spirit, just like you are going through an acceleration yourselves at your human level. I am mostly interested in drawing your attention to the fact that whatever happens during the next few years by way of turmoil is not necessarily what it appears to be. I cannot feel free of all the negativity which has been built up over the last few thousand years, from the time of Lemuria and even before that. I need to feel free to see clearly just how this mess can eventually be restored to a state that I would be proud of, let alone you. It is my bane that my own evolution is a little complex and does not benefit from the support given to certain planets of a higher order. I am not a sacred planet, if I may put it that way, and I will not be able to acquire that status until you are ready to be at one with me on my journey through eternity. It is as simple as that as far as this goes. I need your support in order to evolve beyond myself because you are an intricate and inextricable part of what I am. Some have likened you as human beings to cells within my body, and in a sense, that is so. From another point of view, many of you are visitors into my domain, since many of you have come from other places in space-time originally. In this sense, you are not so much cells within my body as you are invading organisms. I do not say this in haste or in derision of what you are, because many organisms evolve through the interaction with what invades them from time to time. And if you're here at all, is because you have a purpose here. And regardless of whether it always feels good to have so many people and beings from elsewhere going about their business of trying to resolve their own journeys within my midst, it is right that you should be here, attempting as you are, not only to sort yourselves out into a greater sense of area of clarity, but also attempting to help me in what I am doing myself. It might seem preposterous that I should address you in terms which are familiar to you, and yet those who know me know full well just how approachable I am, and friendly at that. I know what your struggle is about, and I also know what you have and I also know why you have that struggle, because it is my struggle as well. Obviously, I see it from a much higher vantage point, but this does not make me unapproachable or so lofty that I am not prepared to communicate with you. I can only do this through a psychic being who's prepared to be taken over while I say what I have to say. It is a very gentle process in this case because the psychic involved does not even have to relinquish consciousness. It is perfectly possible for me to address myself to any one of you if you are open to me. Normally, I prefer to make these sorts of contacts on another level, for instance, the astral plane or a plane beyond that, because then I can truly make myself heard and felt. Actually, I'm also very glad that I can voice my thoughts through the medium of someone who is in tune with what I am and in tune with my essential purpose, because this is a way of initiating an exchange which is otherwise rather inaccessible. During the next few years, there will be many changes for you, and yet this will be as nothing compared with the changes I am experiencing myself. You see, one of the things which may not come to your minds immediately is that I am not a being as you are, and I am not just referring to the fact that I am a planetary spirit, whereas you are human spirits. I am a being of a cosmic order. Even if my rank is not a very high one compared with those of my sister, brother stars and planets out there who have progressed way beyond what I am presently capable of. I aim, of course, in the due course of my somewhat turbulent evolution to join them, even if by that time they will have moved on a little further themselves. I speak of things like rank and status. There is a natural hierarchy in the greater cosmos, and yet it is not like your Piscean stuff. It has more to do with one's natural place in the network of the star systems. One's place is a natural evolution, which is part of a greater scheme and therefore lends assistance to a much greater purpose than my own as a planetary being. Although my purpose is in tune, in essence, with that greater cosmic purpose, and I feel that I have my part to play in the overall topography of the development. You are on the threshold of a new age. That is to say, you are participating with the changes I am going through as a planetary spirit. I have my cycles because, like all things, evolution must work in cycles. It is the only way that progress can be made, step by step. Liberation or freedom, or whatever you might want to call the act of accessing a superior state, can only be achieved as one goes through one stage and links up with another. What is there in potential can be, and is always realized sooner or later. When one suffers from setbacks, and I've had to contend with a number of those over the millennia, each one of these is in fact a new way of gaining a greater strength. However, it does become obsolescent to dwell in one state for too long, and now is the time that I will make the jump into a new state, because I am not prepared to be held up forever by the smaller fractions of myself, i.e. you who as human beings have always proven to be unstable by way of the majority. You can look at a lot of the subjectivity of the human expression as a form of confusion with regard to what is right and what is wrong. Yet the truth is that the human state has been prone to aberrations for such a long time that even I care not sometimes to think about it overmuch. Of course, what I experience of time is not what you feel about it. Nevertheless, my history, insofar as it goes, has been peppered with the instigation of all sorts of power plots to take over my estate, the estate of my spirit. I've had to protect myself against the intrusion of those egos who think that they have some special right to be the planet's spokesman. I have seen the rise and fall of so many whose egos were so selfish that they felt they could rule over me or represent me in a false way. Foolish are they, because if they only realized it, I would give them everything they want, providing they came to me in higher states as friends. Those who do come to me as friends find their freedom and a lot besides. I have said that I am friendly and approachable. This is true. I am that to those who come to me without the need of even attempting to oppose upon my expression the state of their mentalities. They have come to me to be enriched internally so that they might pursue their cosmic evolutionary journey, and these have gone on from century to century into heights in which they have simply vanished from the sights of those who cannot come to me in the right way. I cherish each one of you who is prepared to let go of the assumption that I am either good or bad, because I am well beyond these things. I am a planetary being who is seeking specific results from the efforts I undertake to ensure that my journey becomes as free and as smooth as I can possibly make it. I cannot really tell you exactly what I might be talking about or what I am after, because you would not understand it. I am the planet which toils for its freedom. Not all planets have to go through what I have had to go through. In the long term, this does have its advantages, because whatever efforts one has to make in order to set oneself free eventually brings about a greater type of freedom. Quick note, you guys hear me say that from time to time? That has stuck with me since I read this all those years ago. I just love it. I'll read it again. Whatever efforts one has to make in order to set oneself free eventually brings about a greater type of freedom. So for any of you guys out there who've gone through a lot, there you go. Congratulations on that. I am perhaps struggling in a fashion, but that struggle is a dynamic one. And you, those of you who can tune in to me without prejudice or selfish reasons, can partake of the strength even as I gain it myself in my entirety of being. It is difficult for me to convey to you what I am doing also for other reasons. It would be assuming that you can tune into the cosmic order of things and understand why certain planets evolve one way and others choose a different path. In fact, again in the long term, all planetary beings have to face the cosmos like babes in the woods. It is so great out there, and even if you feel you have a difficult time understanding what life really is, I can also tell you that we, however evolved, and we are obviously much more evolved than you are, we as beings who have already transcended much which you cannot even conceive of yet, we too are looking at the mysteries of being and still seeing a great expanse before us, a great expanse with great new fields of experience to be had. Whatever you may learn by dint of your efforts and experiences is as nothing compared with those efforts and experience which cosmic beings make and have. We are only scratching the surface of a far beyond which encompasses mysteries which are awesome. We're only touching a fraction of an enormous whole which spans through layers upon layers of greater universes. Whatever the Tibetans might have learned from their own journeys, and indeed they did discover much, which they have formulated for dissemination in a very cohesive manner, is still as nothing compared with the realities which we face as cosmic beings. I am only a small cosmic being as far as things go. My own comprehension, while vast in comparison with yours as individual fragments of me in the cosmos at large, is nevertheless so limited as I see it. Even if I could make a much greater jump than I am presently contemplating, I know only full well that I would still be as far away from the ultimate height as I am now, because there is no end to what life is. Even if you feel that at times your experiences, even at the monadic level, which is the home of those who have transcended the human state, encompass the goddesshood of being, all I can tell you is that this is only one small stage of the goddesshood. It is almost useless to speculate about how far there is to go, because as soon as you feel you have reached the ultimate end of the greater journey, it only opens up a much greater expanse which disappears into a mega affinity without end yet again. Of course, this is also exciting because we will never feel that we have reached a dead end, that we cannot go further. This is the true richness of the spirit, the higher spirit. There is no heaven which cannot be transcended yet further. I am trying to convey to you in these inadequate words because, as has been pointed out by all of those who have ever tried to put anything of the mysteries into words, the realities of the greater world and cosmos cannot be communicated so simply. They must be experienced to the fullness of what they really are. That is the only way to understand something which is not an intellectual domain at all. It is far beyond the capability of the mind, of however great a being, to understand the universe in an intellectual way alone. It must be lived. That is the only way. Now I would further point out that you are only just beginning to awaken to my reality, the reality of my own spirit. I talk in terms of I, and this might give you the impression that I am a solitary being in my I-ness. Yet this is not so. From another point of view, I am a composite being, not only a composite being in the sense that you are parts of me and that if you were to be put all together and given the reality of what I am, you would make up me. I am composed of all sorts of beings, each one of which is a group of beings in turn. This is true of the other beings, which we shall refer to as suns, stars, planets, and from even a much greater point of view, galaxies and so on. We evolve together and apart. There's nothing ultimately elitist about this. It's just the way it is. I'm only one segment in a system which is like a long, multi-leveled string of components, all of which components share the same essential spirit. All I can and will do is to invite you into my inner sanctuary, the monadic plane, insofar as you need be concerned. Here you will be able to see for yourselves at least a much greater fragment of the truth. A truth which cannot be put into books or manuals or into any other form which can be handed out. Even the efforts of this willing channel that I am putting these words to now is as nothing compared with what I would really like to show you. Therefore, I can and am inviting you to join me at least on a level where these higher things can be seen a bit more for what they are. From that platform, you will be able to see a vastness which expands into that infinity which we have expressed throughout these transmissions. For transmissions they are. They are not the work of any lone writer, regardless of how well or how badly he or she can formulate them into a coherent message for the benefit of others to read and be inspired by, if that proves to be the case. Lastly, to finish this part of what I want to say, and I would not wish you to accept its authenticity without checking it out with me on the level I have suggested. I wish to point out to you that there is a time immediately ahead which will be of special interest to you. It is not a fixed time or date. It is more of an event which will take place at precisely the right moment when the conditions are such that it can effectively occur. I refer to a major shift for part of, and in a lesser manner the whole of, the human race, one which will revolutionize the way you see the cosmos. It will be preceded by a new scientific insight at the geocosmic level, a new insight into the relationship between the Earth and the stars. This will be a sign for what is to happen next, a pointer which will be broadcast throughout the Earth's communication systems. It will not seem so revolutionary at first because it will depend on how intuitive you may be about what is actually communicated. Then, as those of you see what is implied, a new event will take place. A relatively sizable number of new initiates will transmute into a higher state as a result, because a certain door will have opened by the worldwide communication. This is something that many older initiates have been waiting for a very long time. It will set in motion the end phase for the present period, and as more and more of those of you who are ready reach that state of transmutation, suddenly everyone will realize that something is going on. They will not be able to escape from the naked reality that something dramatic is taking and will take place. Over the years which span from soon to about 2001 and slightly beyond that year, there will be no great turmoil about it. It will simply stand out as incongruous against the current of what has always been accepted as normal reality. This is a great opportunity for those of you who would like to leave the physical plane and merge into the greater mysteries, stage by stage from there onwards. It is an opportunity which is unique in the history of the planet, which I am. It has never happened before, as I can tell you from my long memory of everything which has ever happened here. It is an event which is so sparkling in its implications that I can only enjoin you to pay special attention to its manifestation. This is all I have got to say for now. This is all that I can be said at this level. I bid you a fair salute, because some of you will be daring something which has never been attempted before. What can it be? So there's the message from the Earth Spirit. Hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, that, like I said, that was written in the 80s, and he talked about 2001 and beyond. I do know, I mean, look at what's happened since the 80s. I don't know what event has been talked about there. Of course, I know in the last 4 years, especially for me, 2012 on has been a big transition, and how many people are waking up and so forth. So, yeah, very fascinating. I just love the whole perspective that is shared on how it all sort of is connected and apart, separate and together. You know, the divine dichotomy of existence and how it's equally large as it is equally small, and it never stops expanding. It's just such a beautiful vision, very poetically written. I feel very beautiful. And yeah, I mean, like I said, and you guys have heard me talk about the channeling thing before. It's like, you know, I'm open. Hasn't happened to me that I can say that I'm aware of, and but I don't find it any stranger than the fact that I'm here at all. If you know, there would be that would be a possibility, and certainly at the end of the day, what is the message? What does it sound like? How does it resonate? That one certainly gives me goosebumps. Even still, I love it. It's beautiful. Hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did. And I do have a song to leave you guys with. This is by Creature, and it's Hear Me Roar. This goes out to all my fellow Leos out there, and to Mama Gaia, Mother Earth, because she just roared, sort of, for us all, right? She just spoke. Till next time, journey well, lovely Earthlings.
Oh.